Jason, should we be signing the machines that think?
Yeah, so what the heck does that mean first?
What does that mean?
Tim, code signing.
Mm-hmm.
Something we just do.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Does code think? No, that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about something different than that.
Right.
You would never, unfortunately, a lot of code is run without signing it within live systems, but
Sure.
bad practice.
Yep.
Bad practice. Yep. A lot of people really should be using code that is signed. So you know what is intention to run. And there's just so many reasons for code signing. Let's just leave that there. So Tim, we were talking before about a previous podcast to this, AI, the iceberg of what's above the waterline, below the waterline.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things that's above the waterline that's really, really becoming important right now, and in fact, I believe it was, it might have been NVIDIA who said it, but small language models, as an example, are really probably going to end up becoming the majority of what's below the waterline. Interestingly enough.
Okay.
And it's because of the efficiency of small language models. Like, the reason I call out small language models is because most people, the vast majority of people who have ever played with AI, a large language model, that's exactly what they know about, right? They're dealing with something that very, 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 like something that was trained on enormous amounts of data and has a very general purpose. But realize that there are such things as small language models that are very, very, very specific and extremely efficient, and sometimes act even more powerfully because of the way they're trained or the way that they're used compared to large language models. Those things might be running at the edge, might be running inside your smartphone. In fact, there are small language models right now being put out by very large organizations meant to be running completely offline inside of mobile devices and probably IoT devices coming up.
Sure.
Okay. Did you hear me say anything about those things being signed? Do you know that you're using the small language model that you intended? Sign the machines that think. It's no longer about code signing. It's about model signing.
Model signing. So, yeah, you imagine a scenario where the model is wrong.
Maliciously
Could be
changed.
malicious. Could be accidental.
Yep.
And under those circumstances, you get results that are suboptimal, possibly even malicious.
I guarantee a very large chunk of what's going to be below the waterline, according to your definition, Tim,
Yep.
is going to be like IoT devices
Yep.
running small language models
Yep.
offline.
Yep.
And those small language models were embedded at the point of manufacture,
Yep.
just like code. I bet you that IoT device has a code-signed firmware, might not have a code-signed small language model.
So this is bad because PKI has a very checkered track record in the IoT world.
Checkered
it's
that's
not,
even being
no,
generous.
It's not checkered. It's just all blank. It's just a big field of white. Yeah. I mean, that's bad, right?
Yeah, Tim. So therefore, it's bad enough when you have extremely procedural code that's not signed. And if you flip a few things in there maliciously, like introduce a bad firmware, you can cause really bad things. What happens when you have something that's only barely deterministic by definition?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tim, think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, how do you detect it? Right.
So I hope anybody listening to this right now is going, holy crap. Because the implications are, I can see you're doing the arithmetic right now in your head and you're like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
When you add it all up, all the risk.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I haven't heard anybody even talking about it yet. I want it to be one of the first.
Yeah. So like signing a model, like conceptually, I understand it. In terms of what that really looks like, that's a little bit of a brain burner.
Yeah. Don't forget though, the model will contain weights that will be static,
Right.
right? So therefore, there is a static model that will be embedded in the edge. We call it, let's call it edge devices. Could be IoT, could be mobile devices, could be whatever.
Right.
And these are static. It's not code. It's a model, and it has to do with statistical weights.
Right. Yep.
That can be signed.
Yeah. Okay.
So the signing of it is not really
Delivered in some kind of, there'd have to be some kind of mechanism for delivering it and checking it and all that.
And that's where I'm stopping. And I'm saying, look, I'll let the really, 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 really smart people who will analyze how to do it properly. This is not what this podcast is about. This podcast is backing up 10 steps and saying, you should be signing that small language model.
Right.
Because shenanigans are going to happen, folks.
Shenanigans are going to happen. I agree with that. And the more pervasive this becomes, the more we take it for granted, the more actuated it becomes, the more the greater the risk.
Because I think what a lot of people who are listening to this podcast might not realize is we have large language models, we have small language models. A lot of you who might have downloaded Olama or Misty when I was talking about it back in the day, you might have had a lot of fun with those small language models. But what about really small language models or nano language models? I think, Tim, that's going to be the majority of what's under the water.
Yeah.
And the shenanigans on that, because they can be manipulated, because they're not even signed. Nobody's even talking about it yet.
Yeah. I mean, there's no body, there's no consortium, there's no rules.
It's
there's
the wildest of Wild West.
Infrastructure. It is the wildest of Wild West. There's not even a vocabulary for it.
And that's why when we're doing, this is the 6th series of the Toronto Sessions podcast.
Holy Moses.
The 6th.
Wow.
The 6 times we've been on these earth chairs.
Yep.
Earth
chairs, our earth couches.
I wanted to point that out because every time you and I come here and sit on these couches, we prepare, a list of what we think we want to talk about. And today, I was trying to really go off the wall. You saw by some of the terminology I was using in some of my titles. And it's like, wow, you got to sign the machines that think.
Gotta sign the machines that think. Wow. I agree with you. Now that you've explained it, in fact, as soon as you said the title, I thought I knew where you're going and I agreed with you, but I agree with you 100%. I don't even know where we're going to begin.
This is not the last podcast on this topic.
This is not the last podcast on this
But we had to have the first one.
Yeah. And the other thing I just want to say is way to bring together the AI and PKI topics.
I knew
Good
it.
job.
I knew
it was coming. You brought them together. Yeah, this is a to be continued for sure.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Jay.